Hello,
I know,
hello,
right?
hello, my friend. I haven't seen you in a long time. I'm
Yes,
hoping
so
that
good to
you are, I hope that you are not so fantastic. Fantastic. Um, I am so happy to see you. I'm hoping that we have sound. Are you hearing me?
I can hear you.
Perfect. Okay, good. I just have to check that. All day long we've had some major technical difficulties. That's why I'm on a phone instead of the normal backdrop and whatever. How is are you anywhere near the flood area? Yay. Okay. Because our fellow friend was, so I just wanted to ask if you were so inclined. So, first thing I'd like to do is we've talked before. Please feel free introduce yourself because you have such a long abilities and skills and talents. It's so much easier for you to introduce yourself. Tell me a little just about you personally, and then we'll get to some questions.
Yeah, so thank you for having me, and welcome to our audience. I am Annie Gaudreault. I am a menopause coach, nutritionist, and I came by it kind of in a very weird way. But life is often full of detours, and I think it's important to remind ourselves that that's okay. I was an executive working with Fortune 500 companies in branding and marketing, but on the side I was a endurance athlete, and it led me to go back as a mature student to get my degree in my 40s to become a nutritionist, and discovered that nobody cared, DrJulee, about women at midlife. So I made it my mission to be supporting the important needs of women, I will say peri to postmenopause.
So you have quite a background as far as you're an elite athlete as well. So that gives you a whole different perspective on educating yourself, making sure that your health and wellness is in peak tip top shape as well. For those that are experiencing that midlife time, and what can you say to help them, give them some support here, because I know you've learned your things through just your own personal story, as well as all the people that you have so far helped. So give us some ideas of how can the average perimenopausal, premenopausal, postmenopausal, how do we look at wellness in terms of what can we do to get into that next chapter of life and have a healthy, wealthy, and wellness wise retirement years, because eventually we're going to all get there.
Yes, absolutely. And I think that it's important to start with the fact that, there is a lot of conversation about menopause, but there's still a lot of baggage left to this. And I'm just going to address it right off the bat, because women will often look at menopause as this kind of disease state, if you want. And I think that it's important to remind ourselves that midlife, peri, and menopause are natural stages of life, right? So your body is not working against you, even though sometimes we feel that with its symptoms, it can be a little frustrating. However, this is our biology that is literally changing. So I like to say, DrJulee, that it's an invitation to understand and listen to what is happening, right? What am I experiencing? I think that we don't know that in perimenopause, right, most of the symptoms have nothing to do with what we think of cliche hot flashes, weight gain, brain fog. It's actually a lot more neurological, like psychological mood disorders, talking about anxiety, depression, sleep issues. So it can be a very challenging time of life. But I think that the mindset needs to be, my biology is changing. What do I need to do to support it at this stage?
I think you're right, and I think it's all starts with awareness and mindset. How do you figure that part of it out? What are the things that you've done that have been successful in terms of your obviously your awareness is to get educated, to take a class, to learn from your peers, learn from practitioners especially. But how do you get your mindset in gear to understand that it's not your fault? It is part of the, it's part of nature's plan that you are not going to be, bearing children for the rest of your life, or you're not going to have a period, or you're not going to be 20 forever, although many of us wish that. How do you get that? How do you get that attitude shift, that mindset shift?
I think that in a society that promotes, youth at all cost, it can be challenging for women, right? I don't think that anybody's going to be surprised to hear that, we live in a bit an ageist world. So I think that it's important to be aware of all the stories that are being told out there that, we need to go backwards. Right? The mindset needs to be, I am actually going forward. What is ahead of me? What are these opportunities? Because I truly believe that the ones who are really thriving, DrJulee, are the ones who are answering the invitation. What is possible and what's next for me? Because I really believe that menopause is the ideal time for women to transform into what we really want to be, because we are, it's less about nurturing the children and making sure that all the, family responsibilities and household responsibilities are done. But now it's like, oh, this time can be about me. And what are the little gems in me? What are the things that I have actually never done because I just simply could not from an energy and time standpoint, right? So this is our invitation to really come into our own.
Yeah, I see this time as an awakening. We've spent all of our lives as caretakers, and whether it is, children, it's aging parents, it's friends. You have been a caretaker for all of your life. All of a sudden now, to awaken and say, we have other things to give, we have other things to receive. What are those things? And I would agree with you. How do you see this impacting the corporate world? Because you talked about your life in the corporate world. How do you see that happening? Is there any shift and change of that? Because I know there's so much misconception of. I mean, we went back in to keep this job. If you're if you have menopause, are you going to keep your job? Are you going to retire? You know, it's like it's a whole strange mentality, I think. What would you say?
Yes, I think there's some interesting research, actually, DrJulee, that has been done. The Menopause Foundation of Canada, where I am located, they have done an amazing job at researching the impact of menopause in the workplace. And there's some staggering statistic around the impact of midlife in the corporate work. So there is still a lot of women, a majority of women, that do not feel that they can discuss what they are experiencing from fear of being labeled old. And I say this, quotation mark, in case you can't see me right now. Right. So I think that's very telling by itself of where we are at. There are also a lot of women. I think the percentage was close to 30% of women that are considering reducing their hours or leaving the workforce because their health has been impacted by menopause. So that really speaks to two big things. One is that we need to bring a lot more corporate education, and I do a lot of that for organizations, but it needs to be right to the top, right? This cannot just be what I will call a women's agenda, right? It needs to be a leadership agenda, because these women that are in their 40s and 50s and beyond, they hold so much competence, so much expertise, so much value for organizations. It's incredible to be potentially wasting those that great pool of competence.
Yeah, that is so true. They've built careers, day by day, just as the men have. And unfortunately, as we look at the workforce and the workforce, declining because the population has changed, also the other part of this is that most people um, have, that one or two chronic illnesses on top of menopause. So they are having symptomology for menopause, but they also they're dealing with, the weight gain. They're also dealing with, chronic conditions such as diabetes, heart
Correct.
disease, because they have been in the workforce. And that is even, I would say, probably double the impact on entrepreneurs and business owners. What do you think about that? How
Oh
do you
my
see
God.
that?
It's you're 100% correct. We have now this like double whammy of health challenges for a lot of women. We know the statistics around
Mhm.
chronic diseases past the age of 50. It's incredibly high in North America. So we need to bring support to these women. Pills are just not going to be enough. Right? They're one part of the toolkit, but we need so many more tools to help women not just kind of survive this time of life, but to actually, and it is possible, right, to improve on some of these chronic conditions, right? Whether we're looking at blood
Mhm.
pressure, we're looking at high cholesterol, whether we are looking at diagnosis of pre-diabetes or diabetes altogether. So we definitely need to support women with more tools than we currently are.
Do you believe in just in your expertise area that women have been kind of done a disservice by their physicians because they have uh, gone in complaining to, saying something is wrong, and yet they've been told, either they've been dismissed or they've been told, here, take a pill, it's a medication, it's, or HRT, some people need it, that's true, but like, have they done a lot of disservice by just giving women medication and not looking at the problem, as a holistic thing? That's
Oh,
that's kind of what I'm thinking, but your expertise is different in Canada. So what do you think?
I mean, it's definitely the same in most industrialized countries where we have a tendency to just go to the pill. And instead of actually, teaching women what is actually happening in their bodies, right? Because I know from my practice that once you explain to women what is happening overall biologically, they stand kind of go, oh my God, I had no idea that this was all related, right? We disconnect the head, the emotional health from the physical health. Meanwhile, everything is connected. And mental health issues are so um, are
Yeah.
so sorry, the word is escaping me right now. Prevalent, thank you. Prevalent at midlife.
Yeah. So
Meanwhile, there are prescribed anti-anxiety medications, antidepressants, but it totally ignores the biological change that is happening with peri or menopause. So there is a lack of holistic view and approach to support and to treatment.
yeah, that's kind of what I think too as well. It's easy to say, I mean, I don't know if you've ever had this happen, but I've been told, oh, you go in and you say you have this problem or that problem. Oh, it's all in your head. You're just, now just calm down. Just go home and whatever. And that doesn't matter whether it's early in a woman's, life, or it's
Mm.
after pregnancy, oh, now, you think you have postpartum depression, but really you don't. You know, and the woman's like ready to strangle her kid, and she's going, but I think there's something wrong here, and they go, oh yeah, you're fine. And the same thing happens in peri and menopause too as well. I don't think that people are well listened to, and I think that may be due to the get them in, get them out, get her done system of medicine that we have. Those poor physicians are seeing 40 and 50 people in a day. How can you listen to somebody that says, I have a problem with menopause, when they're going, oh my gosh, just get her, she's fine, just get her, is
Absolutely.
that true of cancer well, or do you guys have the same pressure on your healthcare providers? They don't have time to listen, so that's another big problem.
Yeah, I mean, the first problem is that they're not educated about women's health beyond, fertility. There is no, I think 10% of medical schools have a menopause curriculum. That includes OBGYN specialties. Like, it is absolutely infuriating, and we are half of the population, and this normal stage of life is just not taught. So you've got the blind leading the blind. No wonder they just want to give us a pill, because they just want to get us out of that office. Yes, there is a productivity, you got to see your 16 patients today, or whatever the quota is. But it stems first and foremost from ignorance. It's absolutely unacceptable.
Yeah. And I think also there's a fear of delving into it and saying, well, let me just sit down, listen and hear what you have to say. It's not a quick and easy fix. What would you say would be something that all the women that are out there listening and are in that particular channel of life, what's something that they can do to help themselves other than getting educated? I think is important.
Yeah, I think that one of the big things is to not try to do this alone. Go get support, right? There are community groups. There's lots of virtual places, Facebook groups. There are things that are very affordable. And then there are functional practitioners. There's people like myself who also have a menopause specialty. That's what I recommend women to do. First and foremost, go get some support, so that you are going to get the knowledge, and then understand what are the tools, because there is no such thing as one menopause experience. We all have a different experience, so we need to know what is available, and then we can make decisions based on what is right for ourselves. So don't do it alone. Go get support. That is the first step.
Yeah, I really agree with you completely. I think that's a fabulous thing, and that awareness and that education, those pieces are right there with it. Annie, you are fantastic as always. I learned so much about not only things in general, but myself, because it's so important to hear the voice of education, different kinds of education. We have different paths, but I learn something from you every single time. So thank you, thank you, thank you. Can you let everybody know who, how they can get in contact with you if you have something, any kind of download or free thing that you want to provide? Can you give everybody that kind of helpful hint to get in contact with you if they have further questions?
Yes, absolutely. We'd love to be of service to your beautiful community. DrJulee is so important. What we want to, offer today is simply a complimentary call that will help your community, really thrive. Simply go to vive.ca, and it's veev.ca, and there's a contact Annie to book with me there. We'll have a 30-minute chat, and I'll give you tons of support in that time.
Ooh, how wonderful. I think that is absolutely fantastic. And And I appreciate you. I so appreciate you. Thank you so much. This, of course, is will be taped for everybody's dining and dancing pleasure for later. So you'll be able to see that again. But thank you so much. I really appreciate you. You are fantastic, my friend.
Thank you.
Sending you
We'll see
love
you soon.
and help. And
Thank you.
take care. Bye bye.
Bye.